Video tutorial, I'm gonna show you step by step how I'm creating a Python program that I use myself, and I'm selling these mobile applications to other people. So here you see the prompt, very simple: create a Python program running on PyDroid 3, and this interface has 4 buttons. And so when the user clicks on one of these 4 buttons, they're going to see a text that will appear for 5 seconds, and it's going to show the next text. And there's going to be 5 interfaces like that. And at the end of the interface, the user can click on home page. And so here, ChatGPT is just summarizing. So it's true. It's pretty good. Multi-screen timed UI flow. And here it describes what it does. And here you see the Python code. So I'm just going to, but wait a minute. I see tkinter, but tkinter is not a good, it's not good for a mobile interface. So I just ask it to, here, I just ask it to use, yeah, I asked it to use Kiwi instead. Kiwi is better for a mobile application. So here it's gonna rewrite the code using Kiwi. And so I'm gonna copy the code, and I'm gonna go to PyDroid 3, which is an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. So basically, PyDroid 3 is just a free app that you can download to your phone or tablet in order to run Python code. So we're gonna go to PyDroid 3, and here I just copied the text, and I save it under MMG, which stands for Master the Money Game. This is an ebook and an application that I'm creating. So here you have the Python code. It's a total of 90 lines. So I'm gonna run it by pressing on the button at the bottom. And so you see here the interface. And so it's pretty good because it's like reading a book, except that the user can actually choose which chapter. So there are 4 chapters. So let's say the user clicks on learn a skill. But by the way, this is how I structured my book. First of all, you have to learn a skill, and then you have to offer a service using your skill. And then after you make money, you manage your finances, and finally you invest your money. So let's say the reader starts at the beginning, learn a skill. So he clicks on the first button, and now he sees the first step. It's gonna show for 5 seconds, and then you see the step number 2. But you see that the font is too small. So I'm gonna exit, and I'm gonna change the font. So here you see, we're gonna look for font size. It's not difficult. You don't have to learn to program in Python. Just look for the variable that says font size. Um, I think it's this one on line 50. Let's try it out. So I'm gonna change it to 54. Oh, okay. So choose an option. Okay, 54. It's good. But here the font is still small. So there's another font size somewhere. So we have to find it. There we go. On line 70, you have font size is equal to 20. I'm gonna put 50, and let's see what happens. There you go. So it's gonna, in a few seconds, it's gonna go to step number 2 and step number 3. And at the end, we can go back to the home page. So these steps is supposed to be one page, right? So the reader can read. And after step number 5, we're gonna have a button called, okay, home page. There we go. So we click on home page, and we go back to the beginning, which is great. Now, what I'd like to do, let's say I click on the second button, offer a service. I'd like, instead of having this text show for 5 seconds, I'd like to have a button that says pause, so that we can read before it goes on to the next one. And maybe it shouldn't show for 5 seconds, right? There should be a pause button, so you can pause, you read it, and you click on next. So let's modify, but this is good because this is just the beginning. I'm gonna save it. And so now we're gonna ask ChatGPT to create a new, better version. Can you please rewrite the code, but do not use a 5-second interval. Instead, for each paragraph, put a button named text, and when I click on this next button, it's going to move on to the next interface. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so here it says you to wait 5 seconds, frustrating. The next button gives control. Okay, so okay, 5 screens per topic. So this is good. It's like, you can write a whole book, but this book would be in a mobile app format, so it gives the reader control. So I'm just going to copy this and then go back to my PyDroid. But now I want to save this first version. So I'm going to create a second version. So I'm going to save as, and I'm going to give it MMG2. Save it. And a good practice is to write down as a comment what you did. So I'm just going to write down the comment here. And this is a good habit because later on you're going to be very confused. So you want to write down exactly what's new about this MMG2. So I'm going to write this version allows the reader to move on to the next screen. Okay, so I'm going to launch this one. And you can see that as usual, we have 4 options. So I'm going to click on, let's say, manage your finances. And oh yeah, I forgot. I have to copy this is the old code. So I'm going to copy the new code. And now we have the new code. So I'm going to click on offer a service. And then, I can read step number 1. Again, the font, I have to fix it, but there's no 5-second interval. So I can read it, blah, blah, blah. And then I click next. And then we go to the second step. I click next. And then after step number 5, it shows the home page. So home page is when I go back to the table of contents. Okay, so now I want to click on, let's say, manage your finances. So step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5. And so, these 5 steps, I can actually write them in greater detail in the code itself. So let's just take one example because I actually have to write all of these paragraphs. So here I can say for step number 1, I can put something like that will actually make you money. And this is important. So don't just attend a course to get a certificate. Okay, so this step number 1 is more detailed. And so let's launch. And you can see learn a skill. And you can see here it's more detailed. Step number 1. But again, the font is not good. So I'm going to fix the code. So you can see that the ChatGPT is writing the code. And this is like 104 lines. You don't have to learn any of this, but you have to be able to navigate your way inside of the source code so that you can modify the text. And when you buy this from me or from somebody else, you can actually customize the code so that you can create your own book application. So again, this is not a PDF file. This is an interactive book, right? And it's much more interesting for people when they can interact with a book like this, which is in an application format. It's more interactive. Okay, so the font. So the font size here on line 49, I'm gonna put, let's say, 44. And later on we have another font size at line 72. I'm gonna put 40. And I think that's about it. Oh yeah, self layout. Line 96, I'm gonna put 44. And now I'm gonna run it. Okay, so let's say I pick invest your money. You can see that you know, the font is pretty clear. So I click on next, step number 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I go back to the table of contents. So this video tutorial just shows you, like, from A to Z, how you can create an application. And this application is, this application is pretty good if you want to create like an ebook that people can read and they can interact, because here you see 4 different buttons. Now in my case, these are the 4 sections of the book. So your book might have 10 sections, although you have to be careful because the phone screen is kind of small, right? So I put only 4 sections. But actually, let's say, because these buttons are kind of big, so let's say we have 10 buttons instead. So let's say you want to write a book that is more detailed. So no problem, you can just go to the code here, go to ChatGPT, and you can ask it to repeat the same, except that it's going to have 10 buttons as opposed to 4 buttons. So please rewrite the code so that the home page has 10 buttons, and the 6 new buttons should be named after marketing concepts. And again, each button will lead to 5 interfaces. I'm just going to correct this. And here, usually it understands exactly my intention. You're expanding this into a real structured training app. Yeah, that's good. I thought initially about a book, but it can actually be training. And so if it's a training app, it's very good. It's very valuable. So here it summarizes my intention, 10 buttons, 5-step interface, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm going to copy the code, and I'm going to go back to PyCharm. And now I'm going to save as MMG3, because you always want to save the previous version just in case you want to revert back to it. So I'm going to create save as, and then MMG3, and of course I want to paste the new code, and I'm gonna run it. And so here you have like 10 different, again the font size is too small, but you have 10 different chapters. So let's say I click on chapter number 5, target audience, and again you see the first page, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then we go back to the home page. And so you see that, like I've been talking for about 13 minutes, and in 13 minutes, I've been able to create this app from scratch. And this app, is very useful because you can just sell the code, like this code that has like 166 lines of code, but you sell this source code to anyone, and anyone who's an author, who's an expert, who wants to create a training app or a book app, can just buy your source code, and all they have to do is change the text here, because the topic, the subject is going to be different. So here, for example, I have 6 marketing concepts: the audience, the value proposition, the branding, traffic. But in your case, like let's say you want to create an app about growth investing, about value investing. Well, obviously you're not going to talk about marketing. You're going to talk more about financial reports, how to pick a stock, etc. In the same way, like if you're creating a training app or a book app on yoga or something like that, then your content is going to be different. But this is where you would change your content. All right, that's it, guys. Just showed you step by step how you can create a new app from scratch. And I can actually improve. This is just the beginning. I can say, for each button, show a different color, because this is kind of boring. So actually, let's do that, because ChatGPT is working for us for free. So we're just gonna say, can you rewrite the code, but make sure that each button is a different color. Whoop. And you can see that within a few seconds, it's very colorful, and it makes it more engaging for your users. So I'm just gonna wait. And by the way, the content that you see here, you can ask ChatGPT to fill in the content. You don't have to write the content yourself. So not only can ChatGPT write the code, but it can also write the content of your app. So I'm going to copy and I go back to PyDroid, and I'm going to save this third version. And now I'm going to save it as a version number 4. And I'm going to paste the new code. Whoops. So this is the new code. You can see, wow, different colors. So it's so interesting. So again, just as a test, I click on offer a service and I see this text. Again, this text, like I said before, I have to fix the font. I don't know why it's so small. So click next. But you know, when it comes to the font, why don't we fix the font once and for all? You know, so can you please rewrite the code, but make sure that the font size is always 44? Okay. So as you can see here, you just have to be the boss, or specifically, you have to be the product manager and ask ChatGPT to give you exactly what you want. But you know, you have to iterate and you can improve, because you're never gonna get it right the first time. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy and save and paste. And here, let's say I click on the third one, manage finances. You can see that the font is okay. So if you want to manage your finances, you have to track your income, reduce expenses, save money. I wonder if I can put a link inside of these texts so that when I click on it, it goes to a web page. But anyways, it's probably better to stay within the app. So I click next, and now we go back to the home page. And so you can see that, whoops, you can see that it's a very nice app, and I've been doing this for what, 18 minutes. So in 18 minutes, I'm able to create something very colorful. And once I fill in all the text, I can actually share this app or sell it to people so that they learn about these 10 topics. And this is way more interactive and engaging than an ebook or even a video course, because a video course, you have to go with the flow. You're not in control, right? Here you can start anywhere. I can start, for example, with the value proposition. I'm going to click on it, and here, value, define your value, solve real problems, be clear, show benefits, differentiate. So ChatGPT actually gave me like a broad direction. So traffic generation, for example, choose platforms, create content. So then I can further elaborate, and of course I can use ChatGPT to elaborate on these topics. So you can see that in less than 20 minutes, I'm able to create something very presentable that works on a phone, because Python works on both iPhones and Android phones. And so this is the proof that basically anyone who has a clear idea of what he wants in terms of an app can just go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate whatever you want. And so that's why I've been so enthusiastic in sharing with people and showing them how you can do this. Because sure, I can write an ebook, but as you can see, within 20 minutes I can write the structure of an app, which is better than an ebook. And now all I have to do is just go into the source code and just add the text. But this is not hard because I can use the speech to text application. So let me show you that here. I use my speech to text. I use my speech to text application, and I can just speak and it's going to dictate the content. So as you can see, I don't even have to use a keyboard. I can just speak and it's going to write the content for my training app or my book app. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. And that's my very first tutorial showing you step by step how you can create mobile applications and make money.